Hey there, everybody. Good Thursday evening, and welcome to Weather for Weather Geeks. Another beautiful August day at the Canfield Fair and elsewhere today. Again, I'll just throw a quick reminder right off the top here of appearance schedules. You can find all that information on the 21 News app and WFMJ.com. But the evening crew, Derek, Leslie, Dana, myself, will be in the WFMJ tent at the fair from 10 to 2 on Saturday and 2 to 6 on Sunday. So stop by and say hi, get an autograph, shake hands, tell me some good weather stories. I'm always in the mood for a good weather story. I have been out there the last couple of evenings, but just for the 6 o'clock newscast, doing the weather live. And I suspect I'll probably be there Friday evening as well. All right, we're just about to wrap up what we call meteorological summer, the months of June, July, and August. Our average highs are 4 degrees cooler at this time of the year than they are during the peak of summer during the month of July. Now, we're getting set to head into meteorological autumn when, of course, the graph goes like this. Our averages fall pretty quickly, especially as we get into late September and into October. And since we're at the end of August, and this will be the last weather for Weather Geeks in the month of August, I wanted to do a review of meteorological summer, again, June, July, August. It was a warm and wet summer, no question about it. 2.1 degrees above average is where we stand as of today, and we're not going to see that number move much with 2 days left in the month. Not expecting much measurable precipitation for the rest of the month, maybe a sprinkle tonight, late tonight into tomorrow morning. Really should not add much to our monthly rain totals and our seasonal rain totals. For the season, 5.28 at the Youngstown Warren Airport. Of course, some places have had 5.28 above average, I should say. Of course, some places have had quite a bit more rain. Some places have had a fair amount less rain, especially in August. When we look at the numbers at the airport, this was a wet summer. In fact, our wettest since 2003. Look at how many wet summers we've had here this decade. We have reeled off several consecutive, no, I shouldn't say that, several wet summers this decade, with the exception of 2017, 2018, two fairly dry summers compared to the average, especially last year. Last year started wet in summer, but we dried out quite a bit last July and last August. As far as temperatures go, I'll move my camera. Let's see if I move my camera out of the way here. This is where we've been for temperatures so far in summer, and again, these numbers are just about final. Our fourth consecutive warmer than average summer this year, not quite as warm as last year or in 2016, but a little warmer than 2017. And again, you look back 20 years into the past, and the warmer than average summers certainly outnumber the cooler than average summers when we look back at recent history. And, you know, that's a trend that actually extends farther back than the last 20 years. No question about it. In every season of the year, it's been getting warmer in the last handful of decades, and we've seen more precipitation as well, and that includes snow. We've had more snow since the turn of the century than we had in those famous winters back in the 70s. All right, what about September? This was the Climate Prediction Center outlook for September, issued earlier this month. They'll probably put out a new outlook tomorrow, but since I'm not going to do a Weather Geeks video tomorrow, I wanted to get this out there this evening. I can't really disagree with their previous forecast, and I'm not expecting their previous forecast to change all that much. I do think that while the month will start out fairly benign temperature-wise, meaning we won't see too many big deviations from average during the first handful of days of September, it looks to me like mid-September may be pretty warm, and the month as a whole will probably go in the record books as somewhat warmer than average. And, you know, I've said this a lot of times in recent seasonal outlooks. You'd be kind of a fool to place money on the cold side of things. You know, when it comes to monthly temperatures, we just haven't had very many cooler than average months in the last couple of years. So until the atmosphere wants to prove otherwise, you'd be a fool to suggest that cooler than average temperatures would be more likely than warmer than average temperatures. All right, I grabbed the wrong graphic for the monthly precipitation, but I'm not expecting September to be anything to write home about precipitation-wise, in stark contrast to last year, which was the wettest September on record. It was a very warm September last year. It was a very wet September as well. This year should not be like that. All right, on this date back in 1982, 32 degrees, easily our earliest freeze on record. And, you know, the second earliest is like September 19th or something like that. It's a few weeks from now. So this was really unusual to have a 32-degree temperature in late August, but we did it back in 1982. All right, I'm recording this video at 7:18. Beautiful afternoon. It's going to be a beautiful sunset this evening. And yes, sunset this evening at 8 o'clock. That means this is our last 8 o'clock or later sunset until a long time from now, April 13th. It's going to be a while before we have a sunset this late. So, just one of those things. It's that time of the year. The days are getting shorter, and we really notice the change in the evenings. All right, let's talk about Dorian. This is a potentially pretty serious situation, but it's a very challenging situation as far as the forecast goes. As of the 5 p.m. advisory, this was a Category 1 storm, 85-mile-per-hour winds, gusts 105, movement northwest at 13. It's going to really slow down as it approaches Florida, though. Pressure at 986. That's slowing down as it moves through the Bahamas and towards Florida is really making for some forecast challenges. You'll notice how little ground it's now forecast to cover between Sunday afternoon and Tuesday afternoon. Only from here to there. That's not very far. In fact, let me real quickly call up my ruler tool. Right now the forecast calls for it to cover 250 miles in 2 days. It's not very fast. And there's all sorts, as you could imagine, there's all sorts of model challenges out there. The European model continues to insist it's pretty far south towards the southern end of the cone. The GFS, while farther south than yesterday, is still fairly, significantly farther north than the European model. And then there's a lot more models than just the GFS and the European. There's ensemble models. There's models such as the UK Met. There's a zillion models that go into making the forecast. And, this cone is this wide for a reason. When we're talking about average forecast errors for 4 days, it's as much as 175 to 200 miles when we look back at the record books. So once you get out past day 3 into day 4, day 5, day 6, meteorology is just not advanced enough to have a cone that looks more like this yet. It'll get there eventually, just like everything in this science. Things get better with time, but this is where the science stands right now. It's a big improvement from 20, 30 years ago, but that's why the cone is as wide as it is. And so residents, vacationers, all the way from Miami, all the way to Jacksonville and up into southern Georgia have to really pay attention to the forecast when it comes to Dorian. Here's a look at some of those models. And again, this is just a little slice of what the personnel at the National Hurricane Center are looking at. There's pretty good clustering right here, but a couple of our major models that we rely on are kind of towards the southern end of this, including the European model. So, the end game is far from known, and again, it's really going to slow down. It's possible that this thing approaches the coast and really never crosses Florida. It's possible it comes to the coast and then just sort of meanders north, hugging the coast for a while. We had a hurricane do that a couple of years ago. I think it was Matthew. That solution is going to be possible. A lot of solutions on the table here over the next handful of days when it comes to the hurricane. Back here at home, quiet weather tonight, maybe a sprinkle very late tonight into tomorrow morning with this sorry excuse for a front. It's long gone by tomorrow afternoon. Great evening for high school football tomorrow. It's going to be a nice day Saturday. We'll get a veil of high clouds, making for kind of a milky sky, but a comfortable day. Mid-70s, low humidity. It's going to be a real winter coming up on Saturday. Now, Sunday's forecast. Although our in-house model here is not particularly impressive looking, I kind of think it has too dry of a presentation here. I kind of think there'll be more showers than depicted here during the day Sunday with a weak wave of low pressure pushing through. This is the one day during the holiday weekend and during the Canfield Fair that I'm most concerned about impactful rain. Not tomorrow, though. Again, aside from a stray early morning sprinkle or shower, great day tomorrow. Northwest winds, about 80, a touch more humid than today. Instead of lower 50s, dew points might be in the mid and upper 50s. Still a real bargain for this time of the year. So the rest of our Canfield Fair forecast, 80 tomorrow, rest of the time in the 70s, and Sunday is the day in which we might see at least a couple of hours worth of light rain at the fairgrounds and throughout the region. All right, that'll do it for tonight and this week's versions, or editions, I should say, of Weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you back here on Labor Day for a fresh edition of this video. We should be talking a lot about the hurricane, perhaps making landfall at some point Monday into Monday night, and we'll have an update on next week's forecast as well. Make it a great Thursday night.